Hey guys, so I just wanted to talk about something that never fails to bother me when talking about the Delphi case and the Odinist cult that they keep bringing up. And I really feel like a misrepresentation, and it makes it like get a little bit cloudy. And so I think we should just take a look at the people who are actually mentioned in the Franks motion and what they themselves are actually into.
Everyone's entitled to practice whatever religion they want, but if you're getting into the world of cult, that raises a red flag, and to me raises a greater possibility of something bizarre like a ritualistic sacrifice. But first, you got to cross the line into it being a cult. So how do you see that issue?
You know, as Barbara interviewed, I thought it was so interesting that the message that came across is every Odinist is committing murders out there, which we've had guests on the show with us here, Vinny, that you've brought in that are followers of this Odinist ideology, and they absolutely repel that idea and say, no, it's a very peaceful kind of a group of people.
Mike, I would have to disagree. I think that even the followers of Norse pagan heathen theology that you speak of can recognize that there is a subsection of their religion that has been hijacked or is explicitly racist, and they don't want to associate.
And heathen. And while we can say that all three of these mean the same thing, we can also note that there does seem to be different trends among those who use these different labels. Now, it's important to point out that none of these differences are a matter of definition. They can all mean the same thing, and they can all refer to the same person. Asatru is usually a term that people wind up finding when they're searching for the religion for the first time. And it sounds cool too, doesn't it? You know, Asatru. It's a strong word. It's a modern term. There is also, as I've pointed out before, the issue of the Asatru Folk Assembly, or AFA, that use this term, Asatru, which have branded themselves with an extremely racist approach to this faith. And many want to be disassociated from them as much as possible, so much as abandoning the term Asatru due to that association. Often communication is helped by limiting the vague terms and bringing in more specific ones.
So Mike, no. We don't think that everybody that practices that religion is a murderer.
Every cult I've ever looked at boils down to whether it is coercive in nature or not. And so when you think about mainstream religion, the openness of mainstream religion, sometimes we could argue they're closed in mainstream religion. And then you look at cults, there are cults that probably are not very harmful, like the cults of people that follow the Dallas Cowboys. But then when you get into the ideology that's coercive, and there's coercive mind control, and there is all kinds of conspiracy attached to it, that's the kind of cult that we really worry about and that we think about when we look at cases like this. So what we have to do is we have to separate the two first and foremost and figure out if it's coercive. In my experience, after looking at hundreds and hundreds of ritual crime allegations, was that there are predators who will use religion to be a power guise, to control a victim, to get them to believe that if they don't remain quiet, something will happen mysteriously, mystically, or religiously. And it's a way to control their victim and continue to be a predator. But I go back to this idea that if this happened, and if it was a group of Odinists, that is one magnificent conspiracy to put all of this together. It is one magnificent conspiracy to get all these people that had to have been involved, that were out burning things in the woods and putting sticks on people, to get them all to remain quiet. And I guess that's the problem I have, Vinny, from an investigative standpoint.
However, these people did not remain quiet. There are a lot of examples of them speaking out. And so let's go ahead and take a look at a few of them right now.
Amber Holder tells a very disturbing story. Brad spoke with Patrick one time when he was intoxicated and said that he and Patrick got into a fight and they no longer speak to each other. He told her that he and Westfall were in the woods near a river conducting a ritual. One of them said or did something that the other did not agree with, and they no longer talked to each other. She said the river was near Patrick's house. No, Brad has a Facebook post with him and Patrick together on January 21st. So you kind of explain what was really going on with that, right?
But we got into it. It was at my house in my living room. It wasn't out in the woods doing some ceremony by a river. And one day his boy texted one of my kids and said, well, we're running late today. We'll be there in a little bit. And it's because we're at church. And so from there, I confronted him at my house about the whole church issue, going to church and then coming to my house and playing Also True. And told him, man, can't be in both worlds with me, dude. Pick one or the other. If you want to go and do the Abrahamic stuff, feel free. As long as it makes you a better person, go do that. If you want to be over here doing this with me, then do this with me. And, we'll make it happen. And he's like, well, I guess I'll just go ahead and split them. And that was it. There was no fight, screaming, arguing, body slamming, anything like that. It was two dudes talking in my living room, and he went on his way, and I let him go on his way in peace. He never spoke to the man again. Not a phone call, Facebook, nothing.
That is what it contained on page 10 of the Odin report. Brad became very nervous and told her that she needed to stay away from Westfall or she would end up dead. She said that Brad told her Westfall and his crew, your crew, was responsible for the murders of the girls in Delphi and a fire that killed 2 girls. I asked her if she knew of the fires in Florida that killed 4 girls, and she said she was not familiar with any fires that killed any children until Brad mentioned it today. She said Brad may have been talking about that fire, but had the number of killed wrong. She said Brad told her that Westfall and his crew had friends in several states, and they have no problem killing race traitors, and asked her to clarify race traitor. And she said she believed it meant white people who mix with other races. Amber said that Brad told her that Westfall belonged to a group called the Vinlanders, which was true at the time, right?
Yeah, I was probate at the time.
Okay, let's see here. Brad told her that Westfall had many people backing him up and powerful friends. Said that Brad was very nervous while telling her these things and was whispering, there's somebody listening outside the door. Like he was fearful somebody else would hear him. She said that throughout the conversation, Brad was constantly telling her to stay away from Westfall. He also told her that Patrick had killed a lot of people, and it didn't matter if they were innocent or not. Amber truly believes Brad is scared of Westfall.
Well, that was the first time I was reading that. It was like, damn, dude, like I let this guy go in peace. Didn't cause no fuss about the way he was acting in my house and all the lies I was finding out about our trip over in Afghanistan together. And it kind of blew me away when I read that. I had no idea this whole time since the start of this stuff in Delphi, all the way up to the Memorandum was released. I had no idea that man ever even made a statement about me, let alone this kind of a statement.
Well,
and that whole sitting in the room whispering like the walls are bugged and mic'd with. That's odd.
This isn't proof. This isn't proof that Brad said it. This is her saying that Brad said it. So
I get that, but I mean, and if she said it and that's the words out of his mouth and it was verified by polygraphs and stuff, I ain't going to say anything about what she said, but it just blows me away that Brad would even go and tell people about that. And why she was even asking about me to start with. I was never going to date any of her friends. Never even met the girl. Me and Brad were already on our ways apart when he was starting to get involved with her. I never even met the girl.
So I find this part very interesting because, for one, Patrick Westfall, he doesn't ever say, like, oh, that isn't true. Any of that stuff isn't true. He just is, like, upset that he let him go peacefully and then that he made that statement. And as far as him killing innocent people, I take that as Brad is talking about when they were in overseas together, because they were both in the military together. And so this isn't like an outlandish statement for him to be making, that he has killed innocent people before. And then also right here we see that Patrick Westfall verifies that he is a part of the Vinlanders and that he was a probate at the time. And so that gets us into Brian James and the Vinlanders. So let's get a little bit into that, and then we'll come back to what these people who are mentioned in the Frank's Memorandum have actually said themselves.
Behind the American Guard, Hardcore White Supremacists. Published March 30th, 2017. Dozens of people showed up at the Indiana State House in Indianapolis on March 25, 2017, to support President Trump and his administration at a Make America Great Again MAGA rally, one of a number of such events held around the country that weekend. But about a dozen of the ralliers, a significant portion of the whole, were a little different. They had American flags, but also carried strange shields. Many wore T-shirts that read, American Guard, or Vinlanders. A few had somewhat sinister appearances, such as the marcher who wore Vinlanders sunglasses and sported a RAHOWA, racial holy war, tattoo on the side of his head. The American Guard formed in Indiana in 2016 and officially went national in February 2017. Before the American Guard was the American Guard, it was actually the Indiana chapter of a group called the Soldiers of Odin USA. The man who started the Indiana Soldiers of Odin, and who later converted it into the American Guard, is Brian James, a longtime Indiana white supremacist who was one of the founders of the Vinlanders Social Club (VSC), a hardcore racist skinhead gang that has had a high association with violence. A number of Vinlanders took part in the Indianapolis rally, some of whom posed for photographs among other unwitting marchers while flashing the Vinlanders hand sign. Vinlander probate member Johnny Messer of Indianapolis can be seen below at the MAGA march, at the march flashing the Vinlanders hand sign, and in a Facebook image wearing a Vinlanders probate patch. Mickey McGinley of Indianapolis, a patched VSC member, can be seen at the MAGA march using the Vinlanders hand sign, posing with Vinlander leader Brian James, and wearing a VSC jacket. Below one can see Vinlander probate member Patrick Westphal at the MAGA march, posing with other march participants, and in a Facebook image wearing a Vinlander probate shirt. The white supremacist connections of the American Guard extend beyond the Vinlanders. White supremacist Seth Peters of Norway, Illinois, is member of American Guard Illinois and a former member of the Traditionalist American Knights of the Ku Klux Klan (TOK). Below he can be seen at the MAGA march, posing with other American Guard members in a Facebook image, and participating in a cross-burning ceremony with the recently murdered TOK leader, Frank Ancona. Other American Guard members and associates have present or past connections to such white supremacist groups as the Hammerskins, Aryan Nations, the Traditionalist Workers' Party, and the Atlantic City Skinheads.
That reporters are not doing their research to give you context around individuals like a Brian James, because white supremacists and white supremacist organizations are now rebranding themselves, right? So they live in the suburbs, for example. Their dressing is different. The way they talk is different. They've changed the name of their organizations now, where it was like this violent name or a name that is associated with a lot of, problems and crime and all these different things. So Brian went from the Vinlanders to the Indiana American Guard. And like she said in the article, now head of the Proud Boys, right?
The last.
So when Brad told Amber that Patrick Westphal had connections to powerful people, I believe that these are the people in which Brad Holder is referring to. This larger group of active members of these gangs, and this is also why the 3 investigators who were a part of the FBI's anti-terrorism group were the ones that were investigating them. This was not part of the Delphi murder investigation, but it did connect back to them. And so that's why when people say the defense made it up, I think it's preposterous.
And I think this is the end of page 10 and what Amber had to say. Prior to Amber leaving, she said that Brad told her, "Stay off Westfall's radar, and I can only protect you so much if you keep asking questions." He also told her that if Westphal found out that she was married to him, that she would be in danger. Brad also questioned her on why Westphal would be going on a date, that he was under the impression that Westphal was married or engaged to someone.
You ain't wrong about that. I was with somebody. He knew it. Been together for a little bit of time at that point, you know what I mean? And it was serious enough. So.
Okay.
Video pissed you off. Well, this one's really going to piss you off. So you don't like my hat? You think I'm the murderer because I'm wearing this hat, right? Well, how about this hat? Does this hat trigger you? What kind of haircut do you have, Karen? I mean, I definitely have a dickhead haircut.
So this is Brad Holder, whose son was dating Abby, and we do have pictures of Abby and Logan together, so they definitely did meet in person. I'm guessing when he would go over to Delphi with his dad, because they lived in Logansport, over to Patrick Westphal's house, that maybe the kids went to the park or something, and that's where he met Abby, but I don't know that. As we see from his Facebook, at no point in time did he go astray from being an Odinist or Asatru or whatever. He has multiple posts, 2017, 2018, of him clearly being heathen, Norse pagan, with all these similar markings, pictures of sticks lined up looking at like runes. And just in general, if your son's girlfriend was murdered, would you leave a video like mocking and making fun of like that he looks like the murderer or whatever? That's like so out of line, you know? Like, do you have no consideration for your son? Or like, I don't know, I just find that to be weird. And then he's just an interesting character. And smiley face, he had to take Logan to Delphi. This should be fun. Really fun? I don't know if that's how I would describe it. And then he's like, had to. His girlfriend was one of the girls. I sure didn't do it because I wanted to. And it's like, okay, that's odd. But that picture that just passed was Cheyenne. And it's been said that Brad Holder's oldest son worked at a mortician office or whatever, and so did Cheyenne. So I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that's interesting. And then these are just pictures I found randomly of all guys that are dressed in the exact same manner that could potentially be described as dressed like bridge guy. And so people need to get off that one. Okay, next we're going to move on to Johnny Messer. Man accused of taking part in ritualistic Delphi murders by suspect Richard Allen's lawyers speaks out. Delphi, Indiana. Johnny Messer, one of the men named as members of the Odinism cult in the memorandum filed by Delphi murder suspect Richard Allen's lawyers, recently broke his silence on the allegations. He shared the allegations have, quote, turned his life upside down, unquote, and mentioned that he is seeking action against the accusers. In September, Allen's lawyers, Bradley Rossi and Andrew Baldwin, claimed that Liberty Libby German 14 and Abigail Abby Williams 13 were ritualistically sacrificed in 2017. According to the U.S. Sun, the attorneys claimed Messer, Brad Holder, Elvis Fields, Patrick Westphal, and Rod Abrams as members of the pagan Norse religion who are involved with the Delphi murders, even though none of them has been publicly charged or suspected in the case. Johnny Messer said the accusations of being involved in the Delphi murders have impacted his mental health. Johnny Messer, who is from Rushville, Indiana, was one of the 5 men named in a bombshell court filing by suspect Richard Allen's lawyers, claiming that Delphi murder victims Abby and Libby were ritualistically sacrificed by members of the Odinism cult. In a written statement provided to the U.S. Sun, Messer said, "As much as I would like to defend my name, I respectfully decline to speak at this time. I am seeking legal action. This has turned my life upside down and has taken a huge toll on my family and mental health." He also mentioned, "I just don't want to say anything to jeopardize my legal action that I'm going to take." Several of Messer's friends, family, and well-wishers have defended him on social media and called him a decent man, quote unquote. Johnny Messer has been cleared of all wrongdoing in this case, so please read into true facts before judgment. He is a decent man that deserves to be given a fair chance. Leave him alone. Please share. Wendy Daughtry wrote on Facebook, "Anyone who knows Johnny Messer at all knows his heart and knows he would never do anything to a child. He was innocent in my eyes before it was proven," commented a friend below Daughtry's post. "Thank you, Wendy. Johnny is my nephew and we appreciate what you posted. I'm speaking for my whole family," expressed a family member. "This means a lot, thank you," remarked Messer's daughter. Another woman who identified as Messer's sister wrote, "I love my brother too, and I know he had been cleared of this." His sister also told the Sun that she would love to speak and help clear her brother's name, but she has been advised by legal counsel not to do so at this time. What was Johnny Messer accused of? In a lengthy 136-page filing, Richard Allen's lawyers claimed that Abby and Libby were killed by members of the Odinism cult, alleging the 2 groups of Odinism, one from Delphi and one from Rushville, were investigated for their involvement in the murders. They also claimed that their client Allen was innocent and that the Odinist members linked to the crime was recklessly ignored by authorities. The lawyers also stated that Brad Holder's son was dating Abby at the time of her death and accused him of posting a series of Easter eggs on Facebook after the Delphi murders. They said that Holder uploaded the photos, which included images of runes and other elements that mirrored the murder scene, to taunt police. On the other hand, Allen's legal team alleged that Messer shared a very close relationship with Holder and claimed that he was a recruiter for the Vinlander group. As per the attorneys, the word Vinlander is interchangeable with those who practice Odinism. They said that Messer was allegedly in the Delphi area with his Vinlander buddies on or around Valentine's Day 2017, the day the girls were found dead. Johnny's ex-girlfriend, Taylor Hornaday, told police that Johnny Messer and Patrick Westphal were like brothers, mentioned in the document. It continues, she also told police that she had allowed Johnny to borrow her car on or around Valentine's Day 2017, and that Johnny had drove her car up there to Delphi to hang with his Vinlander friends. The memorandum further alleges that when Messer returned the vehicle to Hornaday, she purportedly told cops there was dried blood on the side of her car and that he allegedly refused to discuss the details behind the same. Johnny Messer's ex-girlfriend further stated that it took her several car washes to finally remove the blood. Added document contained along with. Meanwhile, Messer has claimed that he has never, not once in his lifetime, been to Delphi, home of his brother Patrick Westphal, and near the home of his new Odinite brother Brad Holder. As per the filing, the ex-girlfriend described him and Holder as two of the most violent people she knew. She allegedly claimed that they, in her opinion, were fully capable of being involved in the murders. Johnny Messer's ex-girlfriend further stated that a motive for their involvement in the murders of Abby and Libby might be the concept of blood in and blood out, which means social acceptance into their secret circles, said the memorandum. All this information was relayed to Liggett and the Unified Command team, yet Unified Command provided no guidance as to what to do to capitalize on this information in order to work towards solving the murders. Additionally, Unified Command learned that Johnny Messer's ex-girlfriend had been listening to and recording Johnny Messer's phone calls. Further read the filing. It also included the claim that police secured the phone and listened to the 3 phone calls involving Johnny Messer. In 2 of those phone calls, Messer was offering money to other people to find someone so they can be injured or killed. The 3rd phone call involves Messer bragging about holding a subject hostage and shooting them at his house, stated the document. Allen's attorneys went on to say that the investigators said nothing to see here regarding Messer, despite the presence of all this alleged evidence. They said that officials did not issue any search warrant for Messer's home and neither attempted to utilize an age-old investigative tool referred to as an interrogation to pursue the truth about the involvement of Johnny Messer, Brad Holder, or Patrick Westphal in these crimes. Attorney Andrew Baldwin previously claimed Allen was the wrong guy, while the latter pleaded not guilty to both counts of murder. While officials are yet to name Allen's potential accomplices, Carroll County Prosecutor Nicholas McClellan openly admitted he believes Allen is not the only actor involved in this. Let's see if Johnny Messer really is a decent guy that wouldn't harm children. Investigation into counterfeit money leads to drug arrests in Rushville. Investigation into the counterfeit money led them to Johnny Messer, who was spotted on surveillance video at the Village Pantry. He is also accused of using a fake $100 bill at Rushville McDonald's. On January 6th, officers obtained a search warrant for a home on North Harrison Street. Investigators were specifically looking for counterfeit cash, lottery tickets, printers, papers, ink, and other items used to make counterfeit money. The Rushville Police Department, Rush County Sheriff Department, and Indiana State Police executed the search warrant around 9 p.m. Saturday. Once inside, they found 2 additional counterfeit $100 bills and a pen used to test their authenticity according to court documents. However, a large amount of drugs and drug paraphernalia was left in plain sight, became the focal point of the investigation. Court documents said police obtained a second search warrant. Officers conducted complete search of the home. They found methamphetamines, drug paraphernalia, and evidence that the people at the home were involved in the illegal distribution of narcotics, specifically methamphetamine, according to court documents. They also found a handgun. Investigators said 7 juveniles were inside the home, which police described as very cluttered and disorganized. Drug paraphernalia was within reach of the children, police said, including drugs, pills, razors, and several methamphetamine pipes. 2 people hid in a closet during the raid because they thought they were being robbed, according to court documents. Police arrested 5 people on the following charges: Eric Basham and Johnny Ray Messer, 30, possession of a handgun by a convicted felon, possession of a controlled substance, possession of a hypodermic syringe, dealing methamphetamine, possession of methamphetamine, neglect of a dependent, and possession of drug paraphernalia. So it turns out he's not that decent of a guy. There's much more on him, but I'm just lightly touching on it. This is Elvis Fields, who was linked as to Johnny Messer as being of low IQ and getting roped into this gang. And most of this video was done before the court hearing in which Detective Click testified on the stand to verify that yes, these things written in the memorandum are true and are what he says is true. He still thinks it is those guys, and I will try to go over a little summary of what happened at that case. I just wanted to get this video out because I'm honestly sick of like looking at it and looking at these people, but they're very interesting in regards to this crime. Tell me what you guys think. Do you guys think it's Richard Allen? Do you guys think it's them? Do you guys think it's none of these people and maybe like somebody else? Or do you think, just tell me whatever you think. I hope you like this video. Catch you guys on the flip side. Bye!